Spring is in the air, bees are buzzing and flowers are blooming, which got me really inspired to get out this frame I thrifted and paint something inspired by the awakening of spring and the colors in this frame. Join me as I create a piece of art infused with the magical energy of spring. Hey, it's Morgan and welcome to my channel, Morgan's Magical Makings. I'm a self-taught artist and maker who likes to dabble in whatever holds my interest. Currently, that is watercolor, and I also enjoy thrifting and secondhand shopping. You never know what you might find at these places, like what little treasures and unique one-of-a-kind things. And I was out thrifting the other week and I found the cutest frame I thought would be perfect for spring and to be like a little challenge and try to make something inspired by the frame for the frame. So that is what I'm going to do in this video. So if you're curious to see what ends up coming out of my brain to go into this frame, be sure to watch till the end. Alright, now let's talk about the inspiration or what I'm thinking I want for this frame. So I'm thinking I want a like watercolory loose background that kind of takes the purples and pinks and stuff that are in the flowers. I want that to kind of be the background, and I think I want a bluish butterfly. There's some like touches of blue or like purplish blues in here. I think that would be really fun to play around with to help me figure out what I want to put on the page. I created a Pinterest board to hold my ideas for how the butterflies were facing their position or certain colors or patterns of the wings, things that interested me. I went on Pinterest and I saved those to a board specifically for this frame so I could have all my inspiration in one place, so I could see some how to draw butterflies and also real butterflies. And if you want to check out my Pinterest board, I will link that down below if you are interested in seeing some of my inspiration behind what goes in here. I think it'd be really cute to have a butterfly coming in to get a sniff and taste of these flowers. But I think that is all for the inspiration and the pre-painting part, so let's get on with the video. So the first thing I needed to do was cut the paper to fit my frame because I did not already have paper this size. So if you don't need this part, feel free to skip to the next section. I'm using the fluid watercolor paper, hot press finish. I like it. It's very smooth. It works well if you want your colors to run around. And then I'm going to use this little bit as a scrap piece of paper to test my colors on. Okay, let's talk about supplies. I used Arteza brush pens for the watercolor, and here I'm picking out some purples and blues and pinks. And I'm getting some brushes. I used a round 12, a round 6, and a detail brush. And then here I have the Fine Tech iridescent watercolors. I love these. And some tape to tape my paper down. Then I got the Derwent metallic watercolors, and here I'm just grabbing some basic supplies that I need and going and picking out some more brush pens. I have, I think, the set of 48, and I will link all of the supplies I use down below in case you're interested in seeing what I use. And then also, as previously mentioned, I use the fluid hot pressed watercolor paper. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is sketch the outline of the butterfly, and I'm going to make some guidelines for where I want the wings to begin and end, and also the middle of the body. And then I'm just going to sketch in the outline and not worry about details right now. And here I am just lightening up those lines a little bit. You can see the outline I have here. It's very light. I will try to make that more visible in the future. Next, I'm going to swatch out some colors for the background. Again, I'm using the Arteza brush pens. I have the set of 48. And I'm going to use the water pen, it just has clean water in it, to dilute the pen that I put on the paper and get a better feel for the range of intensity that I can get. And here is the swatches of that. And then next I'm gonna fill up my palette using those pens. I like to swirl them around to get the pigment out, and then I can dilute it later with more water if I want. So now that I've got my paint ready, I'm ready to actually start on my paper, and first I'm going to tape it down so I can prevent warping. And now I'm just going to take clean water and spread that all over the background, avoiding the inside of the butterfly until I get a nice sheen where all of it is wet, but not overly wet. Once I'm satisfied with how wet the paper is, I'm going to go in with some of that pigment I put in my palette and just drop it in there and add water as I like. And I'm careful with the yellow to not mix it in with the other colors because I don't want it to get muddy. I want it to stay really vibrant, and it would probably get muddied down if it were to mix too much with the others. I really love doing backgrounds like this that are really loose and I don't have a whole lot of control over. I like to just let the pigment and the water do most of the work for me. I'm super happy with the way this background turned out. I think it is a nice canvas for the butterfly to be displayed on. So now I'm going to swatch for the butterfly, and I'm just going to take several of the blues that I have and swatch them out just like I did for the background to see what blues I think look good together or look good with the background and the frame. And I'm just going to dilute those out again with that water pen that comes with the Arteza brush pen set. And I'm just going to swirl those around, get the pigment again. Okay, so now that my background's dry, I'm going to work on the wings, and I'm going to start by putting down a very light diluted layer of color just to be my base. And I'm going to put that all over the wing, and then I'm going to start dropping in some color around the edges and just darken up the edges a bit and let the colors bleed together. And I add more water as necessary to my pigments to make sure nothing's drying on me too fast. And I'm just going to repeat what I did to the first wing to all the other wings, where I put down a light layer first that is very watered down, and then I'm going to go in around the edges and start building up pigment. And now I'm going to go in and do the body, and I want that to be darker, and I'm kind of going in with some of the darker blues I have and also some purple. Once the wings have dried, I'm gonna go in and start on the details, and I'm gonna add in some purple dots along the wings, and they're pretty watery, so I'm also just dabbing in some more pigment until I like the darkness. And then I'm gonna do the same along the bottom wings and add some dots. And then go in and add a bit more pigment to those watery dots. And now I'm going to darken up the edges of the wings a bit. And I'm only darkening up parts of the edges of the wings. I'm not going around and making a complete outline. I like more of the illusion of the outline, if that makes any sense. Now I'm going to sketch out the wing veins. I wanted to sketch them out with pencil before putting them down with paint, just because I am not that experienced in drawing these. Alright, and now I'm about to be rudely interrupted for some cuddles. This is one of my 3 cats, Lucy, short for something I'll tell you later. He is super sweet and lovable and loves cuddles. He is quite handsome and the camera loves him, and he is very good at making eye contact with the camera. Okay, back to the sketch. I have to erase that little bit. I still have one wing left to do, but this should give you an idea how I'm sketching out my wing veins. So now I'm gonna go in and work on the details again. I am mixing up the color that I like, and it's kind of a mix of all the colors on my palette, so it kind of has like a touch of purple, a touch of the different blues. So I'm going to darken up the edges again, and this time I'm going to bring it in past the dots, the purple dots that I made, and then I'm going to make the veins come out of the dark edges on the wings, but I'm going to make those a more watered down version of the color that is along the outside. Now I'm going to add a touch of shimmer to the wing veins. I love little details like shimmery iridescent things, and they don't show up too well on camera, but they add a little touch of magic in person, that little dash. And I'm just going to put it in some places that I want to pop a little bit more. Now I'm going to go in and build up the body collar and make it look more three-dimensional and make some little segmentations. Make it a little darker around the edges, but I also want to leave the middle lighter. I want to be sure to leave some of that lightness to make it sure I leave that highlight. While I'm working on the body, I'll go ahead and do the antennas. I'll sketch them in first, and then I will paint my little antennas right on top of that. Once the body's dried, I'm going to work on the shadows for the wings, and I'm just going to mix up several different colors on my palette and dilute them out. And I also added in a bit of the metallic blue and black from the Derwent set, and this is pretty diluted down, my first little layer that I'm making along the body, and then I'm just going to drop some color in along the sides of the body and make it look more three-dimensional, as if the wings are kind of curving in. And I'm just going to blend that out so I don't have any harsh lines. Now I'm going to go in with a black Prismacolor pencil and darken up some of the edges. Watercolor always dries lighter than it is when it's wet, and I find it difficult to get the edges and some of the shadows quite as dark as I want without drawing a ton of layers. So I find color pencil to be really helpful in achieving the look that I want. I'm going to add some more shimmer. I used the
some pink along the wing veins, but I'm going to add some blue on the eyes and along the edges a little bit. And then I'm going to mix some of the pink and blue and make a purpley mix, and I'm going to put a little touch of that along the edges of my little purple dots on the wings, and a little highlights on the body. Now I'm going to add some final touches. I'm going to use this pale gold from the Derwent set and add some dots on my butterfly, and then I'm going to dilute some of that pale gold down and splatter it onto my page, being careful to not get it on my butterfly. And then if I did get it in places that I didn't want it, I'm just going to dab that off with a paper towel. I really love the way that this butterfly came out, and I think it complements the frame so well, and it just makes me smile really big to look at it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and let me know what you think of it down below. Until next time, guys. Bye!